In the heart of Lagos, amidst the hustle and bustle of a fast-paced life, lived a woman named Amara. Amara was everything any Christian would hope to be. She was dedicated to God, her heart aligned with His will, and her actions reflected the love she had for Him. Her life revolved around church activities, teaching the younger generation, leading worship, and attending every church meeting possible. She was beautiful, with a kind spirit that radiated the peace of God. But despite all her faithfulness, there was one thing missing in her life: marriage. Amara had been praying for a good man who would love her, cherish her, and most importantly, share her faith. She was tired of waiting. At 28, most of her friends were married, and she had begun to feel the pressure, not just from society, but from her own deep desire to start a family. However, little did she know that her desperation would lead her to make one of the most regrettable decisions of her life. Then she met Chuka, who seemed like the perfect match for Amara. He was charming, well-spoken, and fit into the church community like a glove. He was handsome and well-dressed, his presence commanding attention. He knew the right things to say to catch Amara's attention. Chuka had recently joined the church, and everyone believed that he had finally found the Lord. He attended services regularly, and his polite behavior seemed to reflect someone who truly feared God. But Chuka's true character was far from what he portrayed. Behind the gentle smile and the polite words was a man who had no true relationship with Christ. He was a womanizer, a man who used his charm to deceive women, breaking hearts and leaving a trail of brokenness. Chuka knew exactly what Amara wanted to hear, and, like a skilled actor, he played his role perfectly. Amara, however, was blinded by the loneliness in her heart and the pressure from everyone around her to settle down. She saw in Chuka what she desperately wanted to see: a loving partner who could help her fulfill the dream of a family. And though something deep inside her spirit felt unsettled, she had dreams where demons attended their wedding with two pythons, but she ignored the warning signs. She ignored the advice from her pastors, her friends, and even her family. In the months leading up to their wedding, things began to change. The once perfect Chuka started showing his true colors. He began disappearing for days, becoming secretive and distant. He didn't share his phone password, and his late-night outings became frequent. Amara, in her heart, knew something wasn't right, but her fear of being alone, her desperation, and her desire to marry pushed her to turn a blind eye to the signs. Her friends were worried. "Amara, are you sure about this?" they asked, gently probing. "He doesn't seem like he shares your faith. Don't ignore your intuition." But Amara, filled with insecurity and fear of what her life would be like without a husband, dismissed their concerns. Even her pastor, who had been guiding her in her spiritual journey, noticed something off. He pulled her aside one day, his voice heavy with concern. "My dear, I've seen how much you love the Lord, but you need to pray about this relationship. It seems to me like Chuka isn't as committed to God as you are. Be careful." But Amara, in her desperation, shrugged it off. "Pastor, I've prayed about this. I know God has sent him to me," she said, with a forced smile. The night before their wedding, Amara couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She stayed up late, tossing and turning in her bed, her mind racing with doubts. But just as she was about to close her eyes, she received a call that would change the course of her life forever. It was Chuka. Amara's heart skipped a beat as she answered. "Chuka, where are you?" His voice on the other end was shaky. "Amara, I've made a terrible mistake. I was with another woman. It's not what you think, I swear. The devil is trying to destroy us. Please forgive me. Please, I love you. I'm so sorry." Amara's stomach turned as a wave of disbelief washed over her. Was this a sign to walk away? Should she listen to her gut and call off the wedding? She knew what she should do, but her heart, filled with a mixture of anger and love, refused to let go. She had invested so much, and she couldn't bear to walk away from the life she had imagined with Chuka. "Chuka, I forgive you," she whispered, barely believing her own words. "But please, let's never let this happen again." With that, she went ahead with the wedding the next day, convincing herself that everything would be fine. After all, what could go wrong? The wedding was beautiful, extravagant, the talk of the town. It felt like a dream come true, but what followed was nothing short of a nightmare. The honeymoon phase was short-lived. The moment they returned from their luxurious wedding getaway, the man Amara thought she had married became unrecognizable. He was distant, cold, and worst of all, he began to abuse her, verbally and physically. She couldn't understand how the man, who had promised to love and cherish her, could hurt her in such ways. The first time he hit her, she was in shock. How could this be happening? How could this man, who had pretended to be a man of God, do this to her? She was broken and in deep pain. But Chuka begged her to forgive him, as he always did. "It's the devil's work," he would say. "I love you. Please, Amara. Please don't leave me." But things only got worse. The cheating didn't stop, and with each betrayal, Amara's heart shattered more. She began to contract STDs, silent reminders of Chuka's unfaithfulness. Every time she thought about leaving, she thought about the shame and disgrace she would face. How could she, a devout Christian woman, divorce her husband? She couldn't. So she stayed, praying desperately for a miracle. Years passed, and Amara became a shadow of the woman she once was. The woman who loved God with all her heart was now a broken, defeated woman trapped in a loveless, abusive marriage. She had lost her joy, her peace, and her trust in God. She could barely look at herself in the mirror without feeling like a failure. Each day, she regretted not listening to God's voice and to those who loved her. She had ignored the red flags, ignored the warning signs, and now she was paying the price. She knew she had made the wrong decision, but it was too late. This story is a reminder to us all that marriage is a sacred union meant to reflect the love and commitment we have to God. When we are desperate, when we ignore the signs, we risk making choices that can destroy our peace and joy. Amara's story is a cautionary tale, one that shows us the importance of waiting on God, of seeking His will, and of trusting His timing. Marriage is not something to rush into. It is something to pray about, to wait for God's perfect timing. The red flags are there for a reason. When God says wait, it is because He has something better in store for us. His plans for us are good, and they are worth the wait. Amara's story is not just a tragedy. It is a call to all of us to be patient, to seek God's will in every area of our lives, especially when it comes to choosing a life partner. Don't let desperation cloud your judgment. Trust God's timing. Pray before you make any decision, and wait for His confirmation. True love begins with God. Without Him, it is nothing but a facade. Choose wisely. Pray first,